What are the chances we see you decked out in a Big Baller brand next year?
That's a hot chance. That's a hot chance. I was thinking about getting a couple hats for the family.
No, you're not.
Post a joint on Twitter.
No, you're not.
BBB.
Not wasting that money.
But we didn't want to call it too much.
Yeah, I need some things to clean with, so.
That is Markelle Fultz and his mother, and by all accounts, Fultz is going to be the top pick in the upcoming NBA draft. And clearly, a rivalry has been sparked between the point guard and his counterpart from UCLA, Lonzo Ball. Well, we went to Washington, D.C., Markelle's hometown, to spend some time with the NBA's next superstar and find out what makes him tick.
This is Markelle right here. This was him in the All-Star game. He said, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. This is Markelle as a baby. It's my little baby. Time passed so fast.
Number one is big for me because I've been dreaming about it all my life, so I really want to go no more.
Markelle Fultz with the triple.
I want to come in and kill. I want to be Rookie of the Year. I want to come in and, honestly, I'm trying to be the MVP next year.
All the talk, all the hype about freshman Markelle Fultz.
The prep All-American and one of the top recruits.
Well, that's just something you don't see at this level. The hype can't reach any higher.
Joining us right now, Lonzo Ball in studio.
Are you better than Markelle Fultz?
Yeah, I think I'm better than Markelle Fultz.
Why?
Because, I think I can lead the team better than him.
I got a lot of respect for him. I mean, that's what he's supposed to say. I mean, anybody that's a competitor is going to think they're better than someone else. But, I mean, to me, it was funny. I mean, it just motivated me to work harder to make sure I put myself further in front.
He has 3 sons and speaks proudly of each. His name is LaVar Ball.
Lonzo had that same impact Magic had.
That Big Baller brand, I told him it's going to be $1 billion thing. I say, them 3 Bs over here, it's going to cost you 1.
What are the chances we see you decked out in a Big Baller brand next year?
That's a hot chance. That's a hot chance. I was thinking about getting a couple hats for the family.
No, you're not.
Post a joint on Twitter.
No, you're not.
BBB.
Not wasting that money.
But we didn't want to call it too much.
Yeah, I need some things to clean with, so.
Do you consider having a rivalry with Lonzo?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's going to be a great guard in the league, and he's going to be in my position, so I want to get him out the way.
I think he matches up favorably. I think he's more well-rounded. I can check each and every box as a point guard.
I mean, I can get everyone involved. I can score on all 3 levels. I can go to the rim and dunk. I can block shots. I just think I got all aspects of the game, but I think my playmaking ability is the biggest.
I always say he was born at the wrong time. He should have been born in the 70s because he was the kid that got up early in the morning and went outside and literally stayed outside all day. I remember him always wanting to play basketball. So that was his girlfriend. He never puts her down. We play a lot. Me and him, we'll wrestle. Who wins?
I mean, y'all see my boxing today and all that. I've been working on my jab.
Who wins? That's
like,
now. Who's won in the future? I mean, in the past.
But like, I ain't gonna lie, like I start out winning, but see, I got a lot of hair, so let me tell y'all the details about my hair. It's get tugged and pulled a lot, so.
That's
I mean, at the end of the day, she ends up coming out with the victory, but I'll be having my like 10 seconds, 20-second spurts.
I have to figure out something else I'm gonna do if he cuts his hair off.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't pull your hair.
No, he doesn't. He's respectful. Markelle just came home Sunday.
I gotta wash clothes.
Okay, what you telling me for?
Because you gotta stay up with me.
So to have him home and just laugh and joke before it gets hectic is awesome.
Markelle Fultz is projected to be the #1 pick in June's NBA draft, but his greatness wasn't always preordained. A late bloomer, Fultz was cut from varsity his sophomore year of high school and played JV instead.
I felt like I was good enough to play on varsity, but I mean, it happens. As soon as I left the office, I was upset. I didn't know why. I felt like I put in enough work to play. I felt like I did good in trials. I wasn't mad. After I talked with my mom, I just looked to the positives and stuff like that and just got in the gym and started working.
Man, there you go. Now we're talking. Man, good. Vandy North, come on.
He's come a long ways. Obviously somebody who wasn't #1 all the time. His grind was progressive. Being that alpha dog that takes him to carry a franchise.
I think whatever he sets his mind to, he'll accomplish because that's the person he is. But regardless if he's an all-star or not, I'm still going to be mom and I'm still going to be there with him.
My first happiest moment is going to be the draft. I mean, just knowing I'm going to be able to take care of my mom and my sister, which is something I wanted to do all my life.
You've been talking about me?
No, nobody like you. To make her happy means the world to me. I mean, eventually basketball's going to stop and I'm still going to want to make her happy. So, I mean, as long as she's smiling, I'm going to keep doing whatever I'm doing to make her smile. So that's big with me.
I'm absolutely sold on Ebony Fultz, the mom of Markelle Fultz. She just seems incredible. Let's welcome in our executive producer of SI Now, Ben Teitelbaum. You were down there shooting with Markelle for a full day in Washington, D.C. Now, the bite that's going to get all the attention here is when he talks about Lonzo and LaVar and the big baller brand. Is there really bad blood there, or is this just a healthy rivalry?
Well, let's start on the court. Yeah. And these two have been 1 and 2 since their high school days in recruiting, in NBA draft, mock drafts. And when UCLA and Washington played, Washington got smoked. UCLA wiped the floor with them. Of course, UCLA had a deep and talented roster. Washington didn't. But you can tell it burns Markelle up inside a little bit. You can tell the way he speaks. He's not at all a boaster, but he has this quiet, driven desire to be the best. Now let's go off the court. Yeah. And Markelle's mom, Ebony, and LaVar Ball could not be more different. All that Ebony wants for Markelle is to be happy. And success to her doesn't necessarily mean all-star games. It means a productive career, but really staying true to himself and the kids she raised. Whereas I feel like LaVar would be upset if Lonzo was not an all-star, was not the greatest to ever play the game. So you could argue that both parenting styles were successful. Yeah. Both kids are now at the peak of the next level of basketball, but they couldn't have done it in a more different way.
Okay, let's talk about Markelle's demeanor. He seems incredibly laid back in this piece. Is he almost too laid back? Is this going to be an obstacle that he's going to have to overcome? Or did you see the flashes of intensity once he started working out and talking about his future?
Well, there are definitely flashes of competitiveness. And he quietly wants to win everything he does. You saw it at home. He played a few games of Uno with his friends and his mom.
Great game.
And he cared about winning all the games of Uno. And he's got this memory where he's like, 2 weeks ago we played 2 games of Uno. Who won those 2? And you hear him referencing throughout his conversations with his family, friends, little times he beat them. He jumped in the pool with a buddy of his, a good athlete, and they were swimming back and forth. Just a warm-up lap. Markelle cared about smoking his friend. So he is laid back, but there is, as I said earlier, a quiet fire. The only question is, there were some doubts raised as to Markelle and winning this year in college. I mean, it was natural. Washington went 9-22. Yeah. They won 2 games in the Pac-12. They went on a huge losing streak to end the season. And he had always been a winner up until college. I think we can see that maybe we can divorce what happened in college from him as a person, and the NBA might bear that out. But spending time with him, he is laid back. I'm not too worried about his ability to turn it on and turn it up. You see him miss 2 shots in a row while he's shooting out in the court. He's mad at himself. He cares about doing well.
Okay, so can't help but notice that you guys were in Washington, D.C., more specifically the Charles E. Smith Center on the campus of the George Washington University.
Did you go there or something?
My alma mater, I'm familiar with it and spent a lot of time in that Charles E. Smith Center. He's from D.C. Obviously, the love for his mom is there. kind of brings out shades of another famous DC product, and that is Kevin Durant. Clearly, they don't play the same position, but did you find that the comparisons really stop there, just the love for mom and being from DC, or does it go beyond that?
Well, first let's talk about Markelle Fultz's trainer, Keith Williams. He's one of those local legends, a guy in DC who's seen everybody come through the DC hoop scene, and pretty much anyone who's big has been touched a little bit by the hand of Keith Williams. He trained Kevin Durant, Boogie Cousins, Ty Lawson, the list goes on, and he's on the record for saying that only one person has worked harder and shown arguably more potential than Markelle, and that is Kevin Durant.
Wow.
Now, Markelle has said he wants to be the greatest to ever play the game, and that's certainly possible. But to be mentioned in that same breath, especially seeing what Durant's done, obviously, over the last decade, is incredible. And they are both unique athletes, different skill sets on the court. Durant is a born scorer. His 7-foot frame is obviously super unique. But one thing that I think stood out to me was the long arms. You stand next to Markelle, and his arms are just, they don't end. They don't end. Someone passes him a ball, it's nowhere close to him, he's grabbing that in one hand.
Yeah.
And same thing with Durant. So if you watch highlights with him, he gets his shot off, even though he doesn't have the quickest release, even though sometimes he may be caught in traffic, the shot never gets blocked. You wonder why. It's because those arms are 7 inches longer than his frame. That compares favorably to Durant. And if you can get your shot off in the NBA, you always have a chance of scoring.
Well, he has a chance to do something that Kevin Durant never did, and that is be the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. Great job, Ben. Really appreciate that, and really got a chance to know a little about Markelle Fultz, because we feel like we have yet to scratch the surface on this young man. Of course, the NBA playoffs, where Markelle hopes to be one day, are in full swing, which means Ernie Johnson is wrangling his all-star crew to make sense of all the action. One of the most beloved figures in sports broadcasting, Johnson is now opening up with a new book. Called Unscripted, the unpredictable moments that make life extraordinary. Over the next week, we'll share a couple parts of our conversation with Ernie. Today, it's about the NBA playoff moment that he remembers best.
The night at the Palace of Auburn Hills when LeBron went nuts in the fourth quarter in overtime. And I always have to look back and say, now what was it? It was like 25 straight points and 29 out of 30 or something like that. But it was one of those times where we're doing the show from the arena, because it was the conference finals, and we're on the set, and Kenny and Chuck are there, and it was the only time I've seen him speechless. It's one thing to leave a fan speechless, but when you leave a player speechless, because they've been there, they know what it takes to play in a playoff game, you know what it takes to win, and when they see a player doing it to that level that LeBron did that night, and they're just like, I mean, I was getting that look. But as we were watching it, it was just like shake your head, jaw dropping, wow. I hate comparing generations and then saying, well, if this guy played back then, he would, like, we actually know what would happen. I'm one of these guys who always tends to appreciate what you're seeing at that time. Part of my career back in the 80s, I'm watching Dominique and Michael at their very best. I mean, the high wire acts and that kind of thing. And, you know, when I think about being associated with the league, when Kobe came in and when he retired, I feel like a very old man, but I appreciate watching the way his career developed. And so when I watch LeBron, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, I remember this kid coming out, and now here he is as kind of the sage voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers now. He's still a freight train. You know, he's still a linebacker or a tight end, able to cover ground, play both ends of the floor, and has that thing, that will that the great ones had. That, you know, everybody wants to win, but some guys have that next level, you know, that Michael had, that Kobe had, that LeBron has, that separates them. And so it's a pleasure to watch. And again, that's one of those things when I look at a long career here that, man, I've gotten to see some unbelievable basketball players in the course of my years sitting in that chair.
We're all about the Benjamins with Travis Benjamin, LA Chargers wide receiver. We're going to go 5 topics for you, Travis, and the first one is the Chargers. How have you been adjusting to your new surroundings in Los Angeles?
I've been coming along well. Coming here, I had guys who I played in college with, like Orlando Franklin and Denzel Perryman, who's been here before I got here. So just introducing myself to those guys again, and the receiver corps we got, everyone's been treating me like a brother.
So being around LA, have you noticed anything, received any indication that the fans are going to embrace the Chargers? And if so, what was that moment?
To get the fans to embrace us more, only we gotta do is win. Fans love winning. The community love winning. So the only thing we have to do is just play the best ball we can, compete as best we can, and hopefully we get to win it, and guys, they'll start loving us.
You were there to just see how much the team meant to San Diego. So what would your message be to the San Diego fans who are still recovering from the loss of the team?
Continue to support us. I know they was hurtful by the team being here over 50-some years, and I saw guys like Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates who actually, it hurt those guys that we had to move. But we know that it's a job, and we just got to continue to go out there and play the best ball we can.
Okay, topic 4 for Travis Benjamin. This is all about Phillip Rivers. First question about Rivers. Is he the most intense teammate you've ever had?
Oh, man, he's very intense, man. And his facial expressions is one of a kind. He knows that when it's time to compete, and if something go bad, something go good, you're going to see a facial expression on his face.
Has he given you any of those faces? Have you been on the receiving end of any of those?
It don't matter who you is, a coach, a player, a fan. It doesn't matter. If you right or wrong, he gonna give you one of those facial expressions. It could be one of those good feel facial expressions, or it could be one of those things, oh, we got to get that one next time.
How much does the team want to win one for Rivers?
Oh, man. As a receiver group, I know we talk about it all the time, knowing that the years he have put in and the receivers he had came through this organization, and we just want to go out there, actually win one for Phil, but actually Gates too, because he's been here longer than Phil, and he sees the in and out of the game.
Can you learn anything from Antonio Gates?
Oh, man, Mr. Smooth Criminal, man. You don't see it, but his routes is so smooth, his footwork, and the way he learned the routes and everything. As a receiver group, we also learn from Gates. We call it such thing as a Gates move, where he get to the top of his route and give you a nod and come out his break.
Nice, the Gates move. He should trademark that and get some licensing on that for the merchandise. Okay, third topic for you, the NFL Draft. It's just a few days away. Now, you were picked in the 4th round back in 2012. Is there any advice you'd give to prospects who maybe know that they're going to have to wait past the 1st round or even the 2nd round? Can you give them some advice on what that's like?
Just stay patient. Just have a loving family, a lovely bond around you for guys who cherish those moments, and just wait for your name to get called. And once your name get called, it's go time.
Our second topic for you, Travis, is the Cleveland Browns, the team you played for 4 years. If you were to describe what it's like to play for the Browns in one word, what would that word be?
I ain't got no more good things to say about those guys. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. Players still learning because the team is so young. But one thing they can look forward for is the dog pound and the fan base. Knowing that each and every Sunday they go in, they're going to have a full crowd, and those fans are going to be ready to scream.
Not many receivers in the league can say they've played with as many quarterbacks as you. Now, we have the list here. It's a long list. Travis Benjamin, can you name them all?
I can say Thaddeus Lewis, Brian Hoyer, Brandon Whedon, Colt McCoy, Austin Davis, Johnny Manziel. That's pretty much I can name, but I'm pretty sure it was a couple guys in.
You missed a couple. Josh McCown, Connor Shaw, Jason Campbell. We're not going to fault you for that one, Travis. You got Phillip Rivers now. That's what's important. Topic number 1, South Florida. That's where you're from, went to college at Miami. Now, we see it through your social media that you're still a Cavaliers fan. So how does that sit with your friends and family in the South Florida region, which is really Miami Heat territory?
Yeah, they always give me hit about it. They knowing that, hey, you on a Cav fan because you played in Cleveland, but just adjusting to basketball, and I was really into basketball until I got to Cleveland and just saw those guys compete. So Cav just stuck with me ever since.
Got a story where you got to meet or talk to LeBron James?
It was after the game one time when the Cavaliers treats the Brown players like royalty. They get the park where the players park at. So we just happened to just bump into each other and walk past and just a hello, what's up, and kept it moving.
You didn't stop them for a selfie or some words of wisdom?
It was before the game, so I know this guy is trying to get in the locker room to get prepared and get everything going, so I didn't stop him for a picture. But this time I see him, I will get a picture.
All right, who is the most beloved Miami athlete of all time?
I could say, God bless Sean Taylor, even though his time was have a great career at Miami and his time in the NFL was short, but you wouldn't go by and ask a guy who Sean Taylor is, and they ain't got nothing but the utmost respect to talk about that guy.
Yeah, definitely taken too soon. All right, you're doing great work by dedicating your time to the Travis Benjamin and NFL Friends Free Youth Football Camp. What prompted you to want to stay in touch with the youngsters out there?
I kind of did it before, but the last 2 years I kind of backed away from it because the team I had. So I got a new team, new management and things, and I know those kids look up to me and look up some of the guys who play in the NFL now. So each and every time we come back and give back, it's a blessing for those kids and for us also.
You are absolutely a role model to those kids. What's the best way for people to join or get involved?
If you want to sign your kids up, it's TravisBenjaminT3.com, and the registration is free, and I think it's like 200 or 250 kids can sign up and just come enjoy yourself. TravisBenjaminT3.com. That's where to get more information. Sign your kids up. Travis Benjamin, really fun to catch up with you during this off season. Hope it goes well for you, and we'll catch up with you again down the road. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. The NFL draft is days away, and while we're diving deep into the backgrounds of each prospect, questioning their character and deciding whether they'll be an asset or a distraction, maybe it's time to take a closer look at the guys who already occupy the locker room, like Adam Pac-Man Jones, who is embarrassing his team and himself yet again, and it's time for him to go. The latest incident came Monday, speaking to the media for the first time since January when Jones was arrested for allegedly shoving a police officer at a Cincinnati hotel, which led to 3 pending misdemeanor charges. Jones berated a reporter who had the audacity to ask the special teamer if he needs to heal his relationship with the Bengals fans after his latest run-in with the law. This wasn't a gotcha question and should have been a public relations layup. Instead, it was a chance for Jones to reveal his true colors, and they are dark. Keep in mind, Jones is allegedly enrolled in anger management classes right now. Where is he taking them? North Carolina? How many chances has Jones been given in his NFL career, and how many more is he going to get? He's been involved in everything from drug possession to strip club shootings. His legal dossier has volumes, yet he continues to get rewarded with new contracts and with his employer excusing his behavior. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Those are the words of Maya Angelou, and the Bengals should listen. Jones is a 33-year-old who acts like an insolent child, and no one is making him grow up. What a good example to set for your draft picks. That's going to do it for this episode of SI Now. We'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, but until then, stick with SI.com for all the latest news, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at SI Now Live. See you tomorrow.